Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Crowded Booth here on a Tuesday night. Lots happening around the college football world, so we're live, wherever you're watching this. If it's on YouTube, it's on Twitter, or if it's after the fact on YouTube. If you're listening to this on those podcast platforms, we appreciate you. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure you check out all of our other content on the channel as well. Will Manis and myself are going to discuss what's happening in the college football world today. And today, the SEC took some shots at both the ACC Media Days, or I should say from the ACC Media Days and the Big Ten Media Days out in Las Vegas. On both ends of the spectrum, the SEC feeling a little grievance. So we'll talk about that and more on tonight's episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
All right, we welcome you in here on a Tuesday evening. Bryce Koon alongside Will Manis. And Will, I hope that you had a fantastic day. I hope that you had a good day. I wanted to ask you this because it's 8:30 over on the East Coast. What was dinner tonight? What did you what'd you either make, or did you do the unthinkable and go to Zaxby's and they mess your order up?
No, I ate at home.
Ate at home.
I had some chicken and vegetables. Trying to take care of my body.
Well, yeah, it's important. It's important to take care of your body and keep that in mind. No, I just want to applaud. I applaud your willingness and your ability to stay towards that. That's not something everyone here does, especially the person in the background of the show right now does not take care of his body. And his mom lets him know. So
just make sure you drink enough water.
Please just drink water. Yeah, it was a hot one. By the way, it was. I told Gavin this. He's in the background of the show, by the way. I told Gavin this on Sunday. We went to the grocery store. We got back into the car, and it read 118 degrees inside the car. So it is it's not pleasant. Heat wave in Georgia pretty bad right now?
Yeah, as always. And,
this time of the year,
it loves to rain for about 15 minutes in the afternoon, like a torrential downpour. And then as soon as that's over, it feels 100 times worse.
It's one of those things too where you want to, and I'm not going to put TriStar's comment up, but it is true. It's one of those things for me. You take a shower and then you get back out and you're sweating immediately, and it's just like, what's the point? I mean, it's awful. You take a cold shower. That might be what you need to do. All right, we're talking tonight a little college football. Will not going to be on too long tonight, but just in terms of what's happening in the college football landscape. Obviously, we mentioned this a little bit last night. ACC Media Days have kicked off in Charlotte. The Big Ten Media Days kicked off today in Las Vegas. Sun Belt, Conference USA, the American Conference is towards the end of the week. But I guess some headlines kind of coming out of Las Vegas and Charlotte as some coaches taking some shots at the SEC after that conference in Atlanta got their time at the podium last week, kind of in the spotlight. Both of these conferences kind of taking some shots, and this is not something that's necessarily new in terms of the discussion around the sport, but it's really important to note the fact that this is pretty much two coaches going on record in public, and I don't imagine it's the last time we're going to hear it this week, about the lack of fair scheduling, and I use that in quotations, the lack of just a consistent, uniform ability to schedule games. And we're going to read some of those quotes. I wanted to kind of get some of the thoughts. So let's kind of start off with, you want to start with Cignetti? You want to go with that one first? Sure. Okay, let's do it. Curt Cignetti today said this: 12 of the 16 SEC teams play 3 G5 games or an FCS game. We figured we'd just adopt an SEC scheduling philosophy. Philosophy is spelled incorrectly. That's okay. Our intern has not finished college. Some people don't like it. I'm more focused in on those 9 conference games. One thing that's important, though, Will, when you look at that, and this is kind of in response to Indiana canceling Virginia, I'm just going to say this. We talked a lot about Curt Cignetti in Indiana last year. This is not personal when it comes to this. This is one of the more asinine things I have heard said at a podium in quite some time. in the college football landscape. And if you go politically landscape, that's a whole different type of realm of possibility we can go. But in terms of college football landscape, this is crazy. Now, we put it in the Discord. Dev, who's in the comments below, kind of talked about, it gave a portion, which I do agree with to a certain extent. My thing is you're a team that is complaining about the SEC not scheduling 9 conference games, okay, and not playing tough out of conference opponents. Well, first off, that's not true. That's a completely false statement. I don't understand where that narrative comes from, other than it's just a group of people choosing to ignore the high-profile games the SEC has scheduled there. And look, I saw something today, Will, that said the SEC does not like to leave the southeastern footprint. That's also not true. Now, with Alabama, it is true to a certain extent. When they went to Wisconsin last year, that was the first time in a long time they've left kind of the southeastern footprint. But let's just kind of start with Cignetti's quotes here, because I mean, I thought it was crazy. Like, I think it's nuts to hear someone who didn't beat a quality team at all last year, like literally got into the playoff based off of the fact they just beat up on other teams. And I understand Dev said this, and the contractors would say, well, that's obviously what the committee values, and I understand that. I would push back on that and say, well, just wait until a team does win the games, and they're going to be valued over that, and that's what's going to happen. You can't look at bad losses. I just think this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen said at a podium, and it's talking season, and man, Curt Cignetti didn't shy away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what legs he has to stand on. Like you said, he didn't play a single quality opponent last year. Didn't beat a quality opponent last year. Period. And this is on the heels of scheduling a home and home with Virginia. I mean,
and canceling it. They canceled.
They cancel it, and Virginia
replaced it with an FCS game.
And is that worse competition? Is that going to be better for you if you're Indiana? I mean, I think the jury's out. We talked about it last night. Virginia is. Well, we were informed in the comments that Virginia is actually. You were informed on Twitter that Virginia is going to be really good.
9-3 apparently. That's
only person I've ever seen say that.
Yeah.
But just looking at Indiana's first 3 games, they play Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State.
I mean, that's 3 FCS programs. No disrespect to Kennesaw State. I mean, that's 3 FCS programs you're playing. Yeah,
I mean, you look at those programs. Let's read some of the early season non-con for the SEC. Week 2, Alabama plays Louisiana Monroe, who they are bad, but they're better than at least 2 of those teams that Indiana plays. Arkansas plays Arkansas State, who's better than all 3 of those teams. Auburn plays Ball State, who's probably better than at least 2 of those teams. LSU plays Louisiana Tech. Kentucky plays Toledo week 1. Toledo, Jason Candle, that's a really good program. Probably going to be a really good team again, better than all those teams. So, I mean, we can keep going. Which ones stand out that are? I'm looking for bad ones. Probably South Carolina playing South Carolina State. Tennessee playing East Tennessee State. Missouri plays Central Arkansas. So, of course that there's some sprinkled in early in the year that are just games that are not going to be competitive. But
yeah,
I mean, sure, the SEC scheduling Group of 5 and FCS, but to me, it's a lot of quality there. And at least comparing against his 3 non-conference games, better quality.
Yeah. I mean, so that's an argument. Well, it just comes down to me that and this is where a lot of people are going to disagree, and they're going to turn it off and say, well, you just, you're a grifter. Apparently that's a nickname I've earned. But
that's a nicer nickname than the one that I've earned.
That is true, but you can't help people that are uneducated. So it is what it is. I think one of the biggest things with this is understanding, for me, like, I don't have a problem with the SEC scheduling 3. Essentially, I mean, LSU plays 2 G5 teams and an FCS team this year. They play Louisiana Tech. They play Southeastern Louisiana, who's the FCS team, and then they play Western Kentucky late in the year. people just want to talk about that. And that happened on social media today, right? Like that happened today. Like people saying, well, look at that. And people ignored the fact that they're playing a top 10 opponent in week 1 and then playing an SEC schedule. So the real issue is that people don't either want to admit or whatever they want to do that navigating an SEC schedule is in terms of navigating your own interconference schedule. I believe, and I think there's things to back it up. We've said multiple times in the show, that's the hardest thing to do in terms of navigating an SEC schedule is the hardest. I'm not putting this correctly. It's harder to navigate an SEC conference schedule than it is a Big Ten conference schedule. Now, there's going to be, teams that have really difficult, like Texas last year. That wasn't true. Texas didn't when they played Vanderbilt was like their hardest road game or whatever it was. You can't, to me, you can't look at the SEC and complain about it when they play 8 games and it's like, well, those 8 games are really difficult. And also majority of the teams, especially your championship contenders, are scheduling a high profile non-conference game.
Yep.
So I don't understand. So that's one piece of the puzzle. And then Curt Cignetti comes on here after playing nobody, not beating the 2 best teams that he played on his schedule. And, got in the playoff and I don't understand. I understand the argument of, hey, we want the SEC to play non-conference games. Okay, I get that. And I wouldn't even be against it necessarily. I don't understand how you can complain about it. And especially, like you said, what ground are you standing on? Like, for Curt Cignetti to go up there and say we're taking an SEC scheduling model, insinuating that it's easy, where is it easy? Where is what LSU's playing this year easy? That's just the example I'm going to do. Auburn playing at Baylor. Well, like that's not an easy game. Now, the casual person will just say, well, they suck. Well, buddy, you just need to stick to your 9 to 5 and enjoy other people doing this for a living because you obviously are not paying attention to the ins and outs of what's happening. To me, it's just one of those things where you don't want to admit that, or rather you just refuse to admit that navigating the SEC schedule is difficult, and it's more difficult than a Big Ten team navigating the Big Ten schedule. Now, are there outliers? Of course there are, but I don't know, man. That just kind of, that was interesting to me. I don't understand. I don't understand where Curt Cignetti, and I don't think he cares personally. I just think he says whatever he wants, and it is what it is to me.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously didn't look at any SEC schedules. Well, I mean, let's just go through the early season ones. Alabama plays Florida State and Wisconsin. Arkansas, they play Notre Dame. Auburn, like you said, goes to Baylor. Florida is playing Miami, finishing up that home and home. Georgia doesn't play anybody, but we're used to that.
Okay,
Kentucky,
and you're saying that as an Auburn fan, but that's not even true. Like Georgia canceled.
Yeah, no, that's not true.
I'm and Clemson did too to play 2 years ago.
I'm making a dig at Georgia. That was sarcastic. This is also sarcastic, but kind of serious. Kentucky going out of conference playing Toledo. That's gonna be a sneaky fun game.
Well, who does Kentucky play every single year at the end of the year? Louisville, who's a top top 5 ACC team.
Like you mentioned, LSU's playing Clemson. Ole Miss, they finish up their home and home with Tulane. They also are hosting Washington State, which I didn't even realize was on their schedule. Mississippi State hosts Arizona State. Out of conference, Missouri plays Kansas. You told me what they're calling it, but it's border war.
It's the border showdown or whatever.
Because you can't say war anymore. Oklahoma plays Michigan. South Carolina plays Virginia Tech. Tennessee plays Syracuse. Texas is playing Ohio State. And Vanderbilt is playing Virginia Tech. Texas A&M finishing up a home and home with Notre Dame as well. So, I mean, he obviously didn't look at any of the schedules. He didn't even look to see who the teams in his conference were playing because Texas and Ohio State play week 1.
So you're right. And Nico says this is once again factually incorrect. I think they're referring to the top of the conference scheduling UG on their 2 natty runs. So both years Georgia won the national championship. I got their schedules here. They played their SEC slate, okay, which included Georgia Tech, okay, which they destroyed that year in 2021, 45-0. Who'd they open up against? Clemson and Charlotte. All right. 2022, who'd they open up against? Oregon. in Mercedes-Benz. So, and then played their SEC slate. So it's you either want to say we want to eliminate every single FCS game, which is an entirely different conversation. We want to eliminate, just make one G5 game, which I will say, I'm in favor. If you talk about scheduling, I'm in favor of you moving to play a majority of conference games, because I think conference races are going to matter even more the way we're heading in college football, especially if you see these play-in games, and playing one power non-conference game and maybe one G5 non-conference game to help facilitate the growth of those programs, which matter a lot. And I've talked a lot about that. So to your point, I don't know what, I mean, we can move on from Curt Cignetti. I don't know what he's talking about. And it seems like honestly, it seems childish. Like, it seems like it's petty to say we canceled Virginia because we're going to it's in our best interest. Well, I mean, dude, you could go 11-1, but you're not even testing yourself. That's the second part of this. You didn't test yourself all year. And that's, I mean, and then when you did, you failed. Like, you did. I don't know. It's just, I'm not a big handout person, and I don't really understand what that is. It is. And I'll say, as Andrew K says, UGA has been better about scheduling power conference games. What's annoying is them wanting to have to play UMass in November. Boo-hoo. That is very true. But I think it's also you to realize Georgia Dogs fan 32 on Twitter is not a real person, and it's not a decision maker. That's just what it is. So it is. It is what it is. And Nico says 8 conference games, bro, just make it 9. We all know this is the issue. The problem is that the SEC doesn't want to do that because they feel it's hard to navigate, and they feel like then it creates an unfair advantage for them, which I will say I agree. I think an extra road trip I'm not saying an extra road trip to Starkville is going to kill you, but what happens if it's an extra road trip to Neyland? What an extra road trip to Columbia, extra road trip to Gainesville?
And the SEC, maybe it's just because they're loudest about it, and that's what we hear the most. Yeah. But it seems to me that the SEC cares more about their traditional rivalries than other conferences. You go to 9 games, you're going to lose rivalries. We lost rivalries going to 12 teams. We lost it going to 14 teams. Like Kirby Smart was asked about it. As an Auburn fan, I would be irate if Auburn and Georgia didn't play every year. It's ridiculous.
And to your point, Will, it's already kind of frustrating that LSU and Auburn don't play each other anymore.
Yes. Like, it's frustrating for like our parents' generation that Auburn and Florida don't play every year.
The SEC goes to 9 games and 9-3 SEC team makes the college football playoff. I agree wholeheartedly. They can lose every single non-conference game, but they win the 9 conference games. Then you can't complain about it. It is what it is. Nico said we need to establish that having one hard out-of-conference game when you have 4 games is the issue. That's not the issue because all conferences aren't created equally. That's the whole problem. If you're operating, and this is not I'm not trying to.
And most years, every SEC team is playing a non-conference, an out-of-conference opponent that is on the same level as them, or the middle of the SEC is playing teams above, probably a tier above them in a different conference.
And I know, like, up until the past 2 years, it really hasn't been competitive. But Georgia's a good example. Like, so Georgia's really playing, and this year is notwithstanding. Because, reminder, they lost the Oklahoma game because of the conference changes. Georgia's going to play like last year. They played Clemson to open the season, okay? And then they played Georgia Tech at the end of the season. So they played 2 not impressive non-conference games. Well, what do you want? What do you want these conference? They're not going to go schedule.
You also schedule these games 6, 7, 8 years in advance. You don't know.
You really don't know.
Who you're playing.
That is true. That is true to a certain extent. As an ACC fan, you can't look at the SEC and complain about the scheduling when the lower SEC is better than the middle lower tiers of the Big Ten. That was Key to Success's words. I'm not even saying that's necessarily true every single year in, year out. I would agree. You can put up his latest comment right there. What Key to Success just said. I mean, he says the issue is most conferences can't speak on the SEC because they're not playing SEC caliber conference games. They think they're in the same. They're not. The bottom of the Big Ten is not good, right? And I look at no one's sitting here trying to say that Mississippi State would beat Penn State. That is an asinine argument from.
I wouldn't even say Mississippi State would beat Rutgers.
No. Yeah, I mean, like Mississippi State's bad. They're really bad. Where I think you're getting into, people love to pile on the SEC right now because they haven't won the past 2 national titles or been, which I think is another little brother mentality argument, to be honest with you, in terms of what it is because of the run they were on, and it's a breath of fresh air for people. It's SEC fatigue, right? And that's what it is. There was some SEC fatigue over in Charlotte, man, and you just sure hate to see it because we do enjoy these people. SMU head coach, once again, our intern just not able to spell, Rhett Lashlee. The SEC has the same 6 schools win the championship since 1964. Not a single one has been different since 1964. That's top heavy to me. That's not depth. He also says later, in the last 15 years, we're tied for the second most championships with 3 with the Big Ten. I don't know why that's not talked about more. We have national brands. We've won championships. The revenue is almost double. Who's fourth? We have our own network. I think it just speaks for itself.
Both of those statements make next to no sense to me. I mean, first of all, the second statement contradicts the first one. In the first one, I don't understand it because he was at one of the schools that is not one of those same ones that won. Auburn does not get included in that conversation.
Well, you can't make fun of SEC conference homerism when you do that. Because that's what you're doing.
You won a national championship coaching in the SEC and went to another one. I don't understand.
Also, too, how are we going to talk about the fact that 13 out of the last 14 years, the ACC has had 2 different champions, Florida State and Clemson? I mean, I'm not trying to dog on the ACC here. We talked about this literally last 24 hours ago on the show. Will, I'm not trying to dog on them. I'm just sitting here trying to offer a different perspective of why there's some pretty big holes in the statements being made today. It doesn't make sense.
Yep. And I'll repeat. I'll say the same thing I said last night. This is good. This is good for Indiana in the Big Ten. This is good for SMU in the ACC because what are we doing? We're talking about it.
Yeah. I don't hate these schools. I just don't agree with the statement they're making. I also say this too. You have to do this. You have to posture and do these things. It's political, right? Like it's just like you're campaigning. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things. I'll say this about Rhett Lashlee because I don't know what Curt Cignetti's career goals are. With Rhett Lashlee, for me, I think it's one of those things that it's like, I mean, I understand you're saying this because you're in the ACC. I don't think you'd be saying this if you were the head coach at Arkansas right now. I don't think you'd be saying this. I think it's a product of where you are. And
100%.
You can be a victim of your surroundings. And I think that's what Rhett Lashlee is. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I don't understand that argument. I don't get that one. I'm kind of perplexed. And also too, like since 1964, I mean, that's a very particular date that we've gone and picked out that frankly, and I've said this multiple times, man, and I've upset so many Tech fans talking about this, like that, none of that stuff matters. Like nobody cares about that stuff. You reflect on the past, you hold your history, your program's history in high regard. We all do it. We all talk about stuff like that. But it doesn't have a lot of bearing on what's happening right now. Heck, 10 years ago doesn't have a lot of bearing on what's happening.
I was going to say that Auburn's national championship in 2010 means less and less every day.
Yeah. I'm just reading some YouTube comments from the clip we put yesterday. Apparently, by the way, so here we can answer this, Rhett. SMU did the ACC a disservice by not playing well enough in the playoff last year. Buddy, if you think, you just lucky you got 2 teams in because you weren't if SMU won that game, by the way. If SMU won in Charlotte,
they'd have been the only team in the playoff.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think that, no, I agree with this, Dev. You can put up Dev's latest comment here and get up some of TriStar comments because I know he put some in there too. Because I think Cignetti's point had more clarity than Rhett's. I agree. Agree with it or not. It makes more sense what he's trying to say. I don't agree with it necessarily. Cignetti doing what he's doing, and he's saying the quiet part out loud. Lashlee's paying cover for the ACC. I agree with you. That's yeah. I mean, you're right, Dev, and Will. We can talk about this. The scheduling issue. I mean, the ACC, the playoff did award wins, right? Like that's what we learned last year. Just win your games. Strength of schedule doesn't matter, and we talked about that a lot last year. I mean, I get it to a point, but it's like, why do you want to do that? Like, why would you not want to play big games? I don't get that. That is a weird.
I don't either.
I don't. And then Rhett's.
That's how you find out how good you really are.
You
play
never
better
did.
opponents. You find out how good you really
are.
are.
That Indiana never really found out who they were.
I mean, they played Ohio State good for what? 2 quarters, 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Pilot says this, so you cannot be battle tested and get blown out. What does that tell you, though? I think the committee, Daniel says, punished bad losses. Kentucky's only SEC win was Ole Miss. Alabama lost to a bad Oklahoma team. Yeah.
On the flip side, if Alabama beats Oklahoma, they're in the playoff.
Oh, yeah. Over SMU, probably.
Probably.
I don't know. I mean, I think we're just in this world of college football, and you saw a lot of the playoff conversation today that, went around media days, and look, we'll, continue to talk about this. But, Will, I mean, the more you expand this thing, the more you're inviting mediocrity. Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner today, said that a 6-3 Big Ten team should get in. I mean, I will say this. I think there are certain situations where a 3-loss team could get in. You have to play a nuts schedule, right? Like you got to play a crazy schedule. And a team brand value, key to success, by the way. This guy has earned an A+ for tonight. Brand values aren't through big games. Some coaches forget that long-term success is won through big games of brand value. It is very, very true. The 3-loss argument with that. I mean, I'm going to pull this up because I think it's important to look at, because I'm pretty sure we said this multiple times last year. If there was a team that could have done it, and they actually would have done it, it was Georgia. With Georgia's schedule last year and how difficult it was, if they'd have lost that Georgia Tech game, now they would have got the automatic bye, then they would have got automatic bye, wouldn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, they could have gone 9-3 and made it. Yep. It'd have been a strong case. South Carolina tried that. I didn't think they had a case, to be honest with you. I didn't think Alabama deserved to have a shot. There's the deserving and all that kind of stuff is really where you have to have some incredible losses in terms of like really good losses, but also like some really good wins. Georgia would have been teetering on kind of that base of that. It is what it is. Nico says they don't want to play the big games because it's more rewarding to not lose. It's a risk and people get rewarded. I think that's the problem, right? How do you fix that, Will?
Just win your games. I mean, I think the committee showed that, but at the same time, I don't know how you feel. I mean, it's the committee. The committee has to decide that. They have to, they have to show what they value, and it changes week to week during the season. I mean, they're just all over the place. I mean, if you want to change it, you leave out an 11-1 Indiana because they didn't play anybody.
Then you're admitting that everything's not created equal, and that there's no okay. And I want to put his comment up here because
it's not. College football is not created equal.
TriStar says again, my model fixes all this. An 18 playoff with only conference champions: ACC, Big Ten, Big East, SEC, Southwest Conference, Pac-12, and Group 6 champion. I'll just say this right here, and we're gonna hop off here, Will, because I do have something I got to take care of. And you can give your thoughts and end the show real quick if you want to. But to that model, I don't want that model because this sport is not created equal. I don't want to see a Pac-12 champion get in, but a 2-3 loss Pac-12 champion get in over a team that had 1 loss in the regular season. Let's say Georgia and Texas. Like I want to see those two teams play in the playoff because I think they're the best teams.
Yep.
How do you grade that? Do we need to go back to the BCS? And that's something you're a fan of. I understand your model. I don't like it because I don't believe these conferences are created equal. So I can't get on board with that.
Let's go back to the BCS, but have the top 8 make the playoff, and then figure it out on the field with the top 8. Because the computer can weed out biases.
Yeah, I'm with you. Deb poses a good question. We'll end it here and maybe lay it down in the comments below what you think. What do you want more, a good team in August or playing meaningful football in January? I think most ADs pick the latter. I want to see the teams that over the course of a regular season put together the best body of work. That's what I want to see. I mean, that's
Yep.
I don't know.
We've seen teams overcome a loss in August, so I don't know that even if that thought even is on an AD's mind.
Okay, and TriStar does say his conferences are evenly set up, which does pose a different thing, but that's TriStar's conferences. That would require some wholesale. That's never going to happen. Like that, we're gonna see the sport collapse. That's why I think you're pushing towards a Power 2, and it continues to happen. But apparently, man, UTSA is on the rise. I did learn that today.
And Virginia.
I gotta educate myself. I'm not even trolling. I'm being for real. So we'll see. Any final thoughts? We wrap this thing up, Will?
Nope.
Talking season.
Interested to see what Brent Key and Tech have to say tomorrow.
Going to be a lot of fun. We'll be live tomorrow night talking about what Brent Key and Georgia Tech have to say.
Take a shot every time he mentions Georgia or the other team in the state.
Yeah, it is. There you go. Will's a beast. Hey, we appreciate you watching. Before we get out of here, I forgot to talk about them. You got to check out our friends over at All Natural BS, All Natural Bug Spray that really, really works. It's providing effective chemical-free solutions, I should say, for your home and garden, patio, whatever you're doing. Look, it's that time of the year. It was 100+ degrees in Baton Rouge today. I know it's hot over in Georgia, wherever you are. We've already seen some people out there ordering it. We appreciate you. Use code TCB15 for 15% off your order today. Get yourself a bottle to protect you as you get ready for tailgate season, especially because it's going to be warm quite some time here in the South. And we want you to make sure that you're a part of that. So get yourself some of that all-natural bug spray that really, really works. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. My name is Bryce Koon. That is Will Mannis. Thank you so much. And we will catch you tomorrow night, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, talking a little Georgia Tech football. The Jackets taking the podium tomorrow. And how many times will Georgia be said? How many times will Tech Man be said? I'm taking Tech Man. I think that's what it is. So it'll be interesting. We'll appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.